Welcome. Welcome everyone to Melanin Stories Matter, our Indigenous Honor Show. I'm Melissa Reaves, and I am the executive producer of Melanin Stories Matter. And we are just blessed and grateful for the show that we're going to have tonight. I want to introduce Dawn Manuelito, my co-host and soul sister. Hi, Dawn.
Hello, Melissa. Good evening. Thank you so much for this honor to co-host with you another evening of honoring our Native and Indigenous people and cultures. So thank you so much. A blessing as a sister as well. Dawat Ed, She, Dawn Manuelito, Gonse, Kaiwat Ele from the Apache, San Carlos Apache Reservation, Yat E, She, Dawn Manuelito, Yinishe. I just want to greet everyone and giving a hello and warm greetings to our people out there and from the Apache and Dine nations. It's such an honor, Melissa, to do this with you again. And we are so looking forward to the storytellers tonight and all that is laid out for us this evening. And it's going to be an unforgettable show yet again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And all of our tellers. We are honored to hear your stories and to listen to your words. We would love to start this show tonight, though, with a prayer. And I would love to please introduce to you the sister of one of our storytellers tonight, Michael Smith's sister, Janice Pilcher, who's Acoma and Navajo. And welcome so much to the show tonight.
Thank you, Melissa and Dawn. Thank you for this honor to say the prayer for the Indigenous storytellers, because storytelling is a form of prayer. And so I'm honored to be listening to them and starting the show off. So I'm going to pray in Lakota. My husband taught me this prayer, and he said that it was all encompassing. So I'm going to start now. Oh, Tungashala Wakantanka, Unji Maka, Wiokvia, Wazia Takia, Wiohia Patakia, Ito Gagatakia, Lila Wopila Tanka Ampetu Washte, Tungashala, Unshi Wichala, Mitakie Oyasin Tungashala. Thank you for the gift of life you give us on this day. Help us to appreciate it and to use it in a good way. Thank you for the Indigenous storytellers in our communities. They carry a powerful message of history for us. Thank you for that. Bless them and bless the creators of this program for all they're doing to share this knowledge. Oh, Mitakie Oyasin. And the prayer was just acknowledging Tungashala Waka, Creator, Grandmother Earth, and the grandfathers of the four directions, and asking them to be so that we can do things in a good way and be happy in a good way for all my relations. Mitakie Oya. Oh.
Thank you, Janice. That was beautiful in both languages, listening to your Lakota and then translated to us. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this moment.
Enjoy the show. You can relax.
Okay.
That's your brother.
All right.
Well, I would like to acknowledge the fact that I, Melissa Reaves, am sitting in the land of Sammamish, Washington. And the tribe that inhabited this area along the beaches of Lake Sammamish was the Snoqualmie tribe. and they enjoyed the waters, the berries, the community. And there's archaeological digs that have shown that these tribes and other Native American tribes walked these lands for 12,000 years. That's the Stone Age time. And for 500 years, though, Native communities have been showing us resilience and resistance, as there has been violent efforts to separate them from their land and their culture and their people. And they still remain at the forefront, though, of protecting Mother Earth and all of her life that she sustains. And because of corporate greed, we continue with federal policies to rob Mother Earth of some of the gold that she has inside her. And it's degrading not only to the sacred land, but also against treaties and the rights to those treaties. So this acknowledgement at a meeting like this, and any meeting really, is our step towards intervention to step up and honor our Indigenous brothers and sisters who have been here for so long and carry so much love for our earth. And with that, we would be enacting a much larger step and a much larger project, and that's decolonization and reconciliation. And from that, we honor our Indigenous brothers and sisters tonight in this show. And as I said, this show could not be where it is without all of my beautiful friends and storytellers, specifically Dawn Manuelito, Apache and Dine, who just did a beautiful opening to her story. And tonight's stories, there's going to be moments that might seem small that had big impacts on the lives of our storytellers. And that is the beauty of what storytelling brings. And so tonight's story that Dawn will be telling, we call the cultural toggle. So please welcome Dawn Manuelito.
Yeah, Melissa, thank you so much. I remember it all too well. I was sitting in my office and all I hear is a door slam and crying and someone ranting on about people not listening to her and just embracing the frustration and the anger that was coming out of the door. And I couldn't help but hear what was going on because it was right outside my door. And this person was in the bathroom sobbing, and I find out later it was our head of staff. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Why, what's the problem? And she's going on and ranting about, nobody listens to her. This tribe doesn't listen to her. Nobody wants to follow protocol. Nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we don't have enough workers. And it's just ranting. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a meltdown. Where is this coming from? So I let it pass. A few hours later, probably about 2 hours later, I go into this to her office to check on her to see, because by then she had come out of the bathroom, and I go into her office and I ask if she's okay, and she goes on about not trying to save a tribe, trying to make sure people are safe from this virus, and promoting vaccines and making sure that everybody is taken care of, and that that we're not listening as a tribe, and that we're going to be opening up doors, and ceremonies are going to take place, and people are going to get sick all over again, and people are going to be possible death, and she couldn't handle that, and her own family can't even get access to vaccines, and I said, hold up. 1 second. We have been Native and Indigenous before time. This is who we are. I had to remind her that no matter what she could do or try to do or try to say, and the policies put in place is not going to save anyone. and remind her that who we are as Native and Indigenous people, our ceremonies have gotten us exactly where we're at today. Through all the resiliency, our ancestors that have prayed for us, through our creation stories. And there's parts in our stories where there's diseases and there's sicknesses. And I had to remind her, these stories are part of our being and who we are. We can't detour from it. We have to accept it, and we have to understand, not be afraid and fearful of what death might bring. In our Native and Indigenous cultures, death is part of life. It's like that across the board. But also to remember that these diseases and these sicknesses and illnesses that come with life are a part of that. But our ceremonies, our prayers, our traditions and our cultures that got us to where we're at today, because our ancestors prayed for us, because our ancestors practiced these things, and because we have herbs, we have remedies and holistic care that have been around for thousands and thousands of years, that Western medicine isn't the answer. But to remember that the respect of these diseases is exactly why we need to understand that our ceremonies and our cultures are why we're here today, why we are resilient, why we are the strong Native Indigenous people that we are today. And we have to remember that. Far too long we've come along with Western medicine and we forget these things. But it's not the only answer, because we've been here far longer than Western medicine has. And so has our remedies, so has our herbs, so has our medicines, so has our prayers. That spiritual connection to our ceremonies, to our ties, to who we are as Native and Indigenous people. So hold up. You can't save us from what? From who we are? That's history and culture repeating itself all over again with colonization. No. We are who we are, and we are strong and resilient because of that culture, because of those prayers, because of that spiritual connection. So saving, that's not the purpose and the job here. The purpose is that spiritual connection. So before she decided to find out if she was going to be okay or not, you have to be okay with where you work, who you work for. And I had to remind her of that, which was a big eye-opener for her.
Wow. Yeah. That's our Dawn. Wow. I could just feel your heart and your energy. I mean, I know this is a virtual show, but the energy that was coming out of the screen from your passionate, genuine, authentic delivery of your thoughts on that was just spectacular. Spectacular.
Can't save us all. It's the same thing. History repeating itself all over again.
Right. And this arrogance that we're supposed to save everybody. It's like, we really need to stop that. Like we are on our paths.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. It's like, relax. I like when you went, hold up. Hold up. That was, yeah.
It was a little bit from hold up, let me slap you first, but it's okay. So get it together.
Right.
Yeah, what came to mind at that time was that movie years ago. It's an old movie, and it was called Airplane. And you know, the lady's losing it and everybody gets in line to slap her. That's kind of where you're at with it. You're just like, okay, well, do that. Hold up, we can't do that.
You must be kidding. Don't call me Yeah. But I mean, and especially in your work, because I know that health and wellness is your everyday. So
Yes.
this is something that we've talked a lot about, in that, you know, the Western diet has not been good for Indigenous bodies. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Excuse me, sorry.
Or a lot of it?
Right. I teach from a place of gut health, understanding our bodies and the system from the inside out. And over historical trauma, colonization, our bodies as Native and Indigenous people haven't adapted because it takes generations for our even non-Native Indigenous people to adapt to a food system. So when we're talking about health and wellness, it's my passion to help our people understand that culturally, even if we started taking going back to our culture foods and the harvesting and the hunting and growing crops again, or migrating and foraging for different foods and stuff, we could actually adapt to those foods better than what we're being provided now. Because across the board, we are all facing health issues, whether it's coronary heart disease or diabetes, overweight, obesity, all stress-related issues. All that is internally from the gut. And so when you teach this and you go back to our cultural understanding of colonization and the trauma that was done, we are still living that trauma today. And it's my passion to teach people and our Native people that, this isn't our way, because look at what we're facing.
Right.
We're facing the issues of of health issues, all these diseases, all these things that have come to play, cancer, congestive heart failure, all these different things. But then again, we're back to Western medicine. It's not the answer for everyone. There's not a one size fits all kind of thing. If there was, we'd all be healthy. We'd all be healthy and we'd all be okay, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So just a little bit about what I do and teach is all about native guts. I call it #native guts, teaching about our guts on the inside out, and what does that look like as far as an engine, and how can we maintain it and keep it operating at its optimal best for what we do, and movement across the Native and Indigenous countries. Indian country is huge. That movement that we have going on about movement is medicine, food is medicine, really reconnecting back to our culture and our traditions through our food system.
Yeah. And your all of the cultural ceremonies that you do. So they must feel so connected, because there is so much resistance against it. And yet it's so beautiful.
We do. There is resistance against it, and we just have to be mindful that it's still there for us to use.
Yeah.
To respect and honor those practices and those ceremonies and those prayers and those words. We have to remember to be respectful of those things and others too. Because not every culture is the same again. And you're learning that, this is the beauty of it all, is that we're all Native and Indigenous, but we all have different practices. We all have different stories, across the board.
Right. Well, thank you, Dawn. So people can find you on Instagram and Facebook, right?
All over this big World Wide Web. So more recently, I celebrated DawnManuelito.com. If there's anything you can connect there, subscribe there, and help with all of the programs that I can help with as far as health and wellness.
Awesome. Thank you. I did want to point out something too for tonight's show. So we have in the chat that we have a tip jar. So if you enjoy the storytellers, please tip. That's wonderful. It will go to them. But we're also raising money tonight for water filters, for the Clean Water Foundation of Washington is actively placing water filters into the homes of the Navajo and Hopi Nation because there's arsenic in the water. Everyone has a right to clean water. This just is so maddening.
It's huge. And it's it's not just on our Hopi and Dine nations. It's a lot of different reservations because mining was such a huge impact on these different nations. So many places have unclean water, and we are bringing awareness to that.
Yes.
On the Hopi and Navajo Nation for
Yes.
this story. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so your ticket purchase and if you gave to extra levels, we really do appreciate it, because that money will go to help place those filters. We have people that are their Ernest is out there and in our land, and he's literally walking into the homes and explaining what he's trying to do as he puts new filters into their water system so that they can have clean water. I mean, can you imagine you're just boiling water to make macaroni and cheese, and you can't boil it because it's so dirty. So
Right.
Leon McLaughlin, you're helping us with this cause, and so I just want to thank everyone on that level.
Absolutely. Thank you for all of that support and the work that's going into it, and even going door to door and helping people in the homes. That's huge.
Earth angels.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, you get the chance now to introduce our next storyteller, so I'm going to go. Bye.
Well, everyone, we have a reoccurring gentleman from the Acoma Navajo Nations of Window Rock. He's from Window Rock Navajo Nation. He's an amazing, amazing young man that has really inspired me as we grow through life and as family and friends. I just want to hand it over to Mr. Michael Smith to tell us his story about harvest time. And you do not want to miss this. Thank you, Michael. Welcome from afar over here.
Hello, Dawn. Thank you for having me. It's harvest time. Man, I've been waiting for this time since the longest day, the summer, when their antlers start to dry, they start to rub on the trees and the shrubs and the ground. Oh, it's harvest time. I've been preparing for this time for quite some time. I'm looking forward to it. Cows. You can hear them calling. They're in estrus. They start to gather in large herds. The bulls, they start to rustle each other, start to gather their cows. Been preparing for this time. Fasting, carrying my medicine bundle, eating the right foods, trying to keep a calm mind and body, getting physically fit, going out looking for signs, the rubs in the trees, track, water, feed, beds, wallows. Yeah. Finally. The morning. And as this night sky gives way to the rising sun, see that purple veil start to go across the sky. The elk start to appear in the fields. glad that I prepared. I don't want to smell like a human out there, you know? I want to be stealth. Start to feel the air, trees, the breeze. You could feel the direction of the air, the direction the sun is shining. When the sun is behind you, the elk glisten in the sunrise. Beautiful. I can see the I can see the bulls and the cows. Pretty active. The dust on the prairie. The elk are talking. The cows are walking. Here I am. I'm stalking. What a blessing to prepare for this time. To be able to walk among the elk. To hear them and smell them. To feel them. Comes a bull. I draw my bow. For some reason, the shot just doesn't feel right. It's not the air, it's not the wind. Everything is still. Comes a cow. Come over me. I can feel the still in the air. I release my arrow. See it float. It's harvest time. I wait for everything to calm down and get up and walk over to the elk. Beautiful pale elk. I can feel the warmth, the life. So grateful. So grateful for this blessing. I raise the elk's head, take out my cornmeal, pray, thank the Creator for this blessing, answering the prayer, all the sacrifice, all the preparation. We load the elk into the truck, go down to Grandma's house. What's a? Tell me, Hanu. Say hello, Eagle Clan. Introduce myself. Introduce the elk. Make a path to the house. And all the relatives, they all come out. They're all grateful. They break out their cornmeal. They all pray. So grateful for this blessing. to the Eagle Clan house. You know, I don't choose the out. The out choose me. Thank you. I am. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you, Michael. Oh my goodness, it brought back so much. You know, coming from my fathers and my brothers that used to hunt and go out, and it just tears and heartfelt. I can just thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. It's such a blessing to be out there. You know, it's not just about hunting. It's about everything that you experience out there. All the wildlife, the eagles, the views, and the special times that you have that they just touch you. And you know that there's a creator, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely. And the connection between, you know, our creator and our father sky, you know, and we sit under those skies, and Mother Earth is here for us, and it provides all of everything that you just explained, and the view and the connection to life source again, and who we are as Native Indigenous. You know, I remember as a little girl growing up, and you know, you always get ready for harvest time. You always get ready for those seasons of hunting, and you know, the men go out, and my grandfathers, and you know, they get ready, and you just kind of anticipate that coming home. And it's just, I don't know, you touched heart. Thank you.
You know, there's such a difference between the Navajo culture and Acoma.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Navajo, when you harvest, you only bring the meat home. And you leave all the bones and everything out there because of the sacredness of the antlers and the bones,
Mm-hmm.
hide and the hair especially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in Acoma it's different. They welcome it, and they adorn it, and they pray with the bone, the whole animal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
feast. We have a elk dinner, and all the relatives, they all come over and they all partake, and everybody leaves with elk meat. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the cultures are different, but this belief that I have, it's derived from a lot of prayer and a lot of the things that are taught to me by my grandpas and my uncles and brothers and my moms and aunts and all my relatives. They all are part of this hunt, because I believe that I was blessed with this ability, and
Mm-hmm.
that when I hunt, I don't just hunt for myself. I hunt for the Eagle Clan, Eagle
Mm-hmm.
Clan family,
Yes.
and I hunt for those that aren't able to hunt anymore, you know, or for some reason or another, they're unable to go out that year. So yeah, we all take care of one another.
Absolutely, you know, and that's the beauty of it, Michael. Like, when we talk about these things, and same here, half Apache and half Dine, you know, you have two different cultures and sides as well. But when you look at our warriors and those that go out for our family to provide, to protect, to make sure we are gifted these things of blessings for of food, and that's what you are raised for, in our different cultures, in our different families. And like you said, bringing family together and having that hunt, and feasting. That's even the best part about it. And let's eat. And then, bringing that family together. And then I was just telling my mom yesterday, as a matter of fact, I said, I'm really hungry for some Acoma red chili. Oh my God. I love that. So it's, we come from different, and like you said, the different clan systems. We hunt for our people. We hunt for our clan systems. On my Navajo side, it's Tohane. And then on my Apache side, it's Kaiwatele, which is our wide leaf willow. So, you hunt and you represent for our people as well as the clan system too.
But it's the same across Indigenous nations. It's the same because we all have a harvest dance. We all come together not just as a clan, but as a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
We all share, our crops. We share our harvest and whatever we need to prepare for the winter. All Indigenous tribes, they all have a harvest dance.
And that's the beauty of it, is just connecting in ways that we used to connect. And we used to trade. We used to share and trade and across the board, different things that we would harvest, even as, foraging and carrying those things with us as we migrated,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well,
I just loved it. No, thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you for this opportunity. I had a great time.
Goosebumps, Michael. I was in those woods with you. I was in the woods, and when you were doing the physical things, I was like, oh my God, this is such amazing storytelling. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I think the part, Melissa, I think the part, excuse me, the part that got me was the part where he talked about the transferring of the sky, and how you could see out in the distance the elk, and just that sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's chilly out there, but they're waiting, and they're waiting for that hunt. It's just amazing.
I mean, he's like a poetic storyteller too, like amazing. So everyone, that was Michael Smith. If you want to tip your storytellers, like, this is the level. Look at what they're bringing tonight for us. It's just so amazing. So yes, the link is in the chat if you do. And again, the money will go towards our storytellers, as well as funding for the water. So thank you again. So we're going to actually just take a quick little break, just a tiny little one, little 5-minute intermission. You can get an idea of some upcoming things that are happening with Melanin Stories Matter in 2022. And yay. And we hope you enjoy that. We have a nice little video, beautiful music, and we will see you back here for our storytellers are coming up, okay? So we'll see you in just a few minutes. And thank you again for being here.
See you right back.
Hello, and thank you. Welcome back. I hope that you've enjoyed the first half of the show. And I just want to share that one of our storytellers, Valora Emus, oh goodness, I'm nervous right now because I just got this news. She will not be able to join us tonight. And I'm going to explain that Valora is another earth angel. She and her husband dedicate their lives to helping the victims of sex trafficking and domestic violence. And all week, she's been on a case, she and her husband, and tonight came to some big stages with it. So she regrets that she will not be able to tell her amazing story tonight. But we want you to know that we are hoping that we can capture that, and then we will send out her story out onto the internet and onto our YouTube channel, where you can see all of our storytellers' full shows as well as singles. And we really do hope that you can watch it because it is an incredibly powerful story. Now, for some, there is a trigger warning because of her work. There is a scene that is disturbing, no doubt. But we just want to wish Valora and her husband Brandon much love and support, and thank you for the work that you just selflessly do for the last 18 years. 18 years of this work. So when they have a bad day, it's a really tough day, but their hearts are in the place that we appreciate greatly, and so do the people that they help. So with that, thank you again for that understanding, and we flow. So we have one more storyteller to come up.
And learned his passion about our water issues among the Hopi and Navajo nations across the board. He's a longtime friend, Hopi, Tewa, and Maricopa Peeposh. I would like to welcome now Mr. Waylon P. Pahona. Welcome, Waylon P., as I should say. I can't hear you. Oh, there we go. You're all good.
Hutham Have, muchas them in Yup, Nep Whalen Pahona in Mulch, Mook, Ipash, Hopi Tewa. My name is Waylon Pahona. I'm Hopi, Tewa, and Pipash, and really glad to be here. Super excited, and I'm going to go ahead and start my story. So I wanted to let you know that I wanted to honor my mother tonight, and I wanted to speak in her Pipash language and greet myself in her Pipash language. So that's my mother's language. November 22nd, I'm sitting in the garage, and I just got a call that my mom has got COVID. I'm sitting there, and my initial thought is that my mom's going to die. My mom's not going to live through COVID. My mom has a coral-like substance that grows in her lungs. She has asthma. She has diabetes. She has high blood pressure. She has all these health conditions, and the only thing that I can think of is my mom is not going to live through COVID. And so I have a decision that I have to make. Rewind back 6 months, June 16th, 2020. I'm in Hopi. I'm burying an uncle who just passed away to COVID. I'm at the gravesite getting ready to put on the hazmat suit, have the hearse drive up, and just make it just wait about 100 yards from us to have us put on the hazmat suit, gown up, and bury my uncle. While I'm burying my uncle, I'm thinking of all the things in my family, the things that we couldn't do as Hopi people. We couldn't have ceremony for my uncle. We couldn't send him off in a way because at the time, nobody knew what was happening with COVID. And so in that process, my uncle, he was mentally challenged, and he was getting old. But thinking about everything, understanding that my family wasn't being healthy themselves, I thought of myself and realized that I wasn't being healthy for myself. I wasn't taking care of my body. And it seemed like a lot of people that around me were dying of COVID because of health issues. So on my drive back to Phoenix, I'm leaving the reservation to go to Phoenix. And I'm just thinking, and I'm thinking of all the things in my life, the things that I've done, my legacy. How is my legacy going to continue? How are people going to remember me? And I think I need to take care of my health, because there's still a lot of work for me to do as an Indigenous man, as a Hopi, a Tewa, a Maricopa Pipash man. There's so much that I still need to do, but I wasn't taking care of my health. That very next day, I start walking. I start walking early in the morning because I had 2 knee surgeries. 2020 was a crazy year. I threw out my back. I had a knee surgery. And so I was back to square one of my physical activity, my exercise, and my movement. So I go back and I start walking. Fast forward back to November 22nd. For 6 months, I walked. I thought about my family members. I prayed. And I really wanted to do something because there was so much hurt in the world. There was so much death. There was so much going on with people. And on November 24th, my birthday, I always try to do something special to raise money and to do something for people. And so I decided to walk for water, for clean water, for filtration systems for my Hopi people. And so I started getting prepared. I started getting ready for that. How is the walk going to be? Am I going to make it, man? Because 200 miles is a long ways. And so I get to that moment 2 days before I'm going to walk, and I'm having to make the decision. Do I continue? Should I stay because my mom's going to die? I sit in the garage with my girlfriend. We talk about it, and she says, I will go with whatever, you feel, She was there for me, and I just needed her at that time to really kind of understand what I was going to do. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't go. I can't see her. I can't be part of all of that. So maybe I should just take this walk on. And so I tell my girlfriend, I'm going to continue with this walk. And I figured I don't want to walk where there's no reception. I don't want to walk, and I don't want to get stuck where if my mom dies, that I won't be able to hear from the hospital, or I won't be able to hear from her. So I made the decision that I was going to walk from my mom's house in the Pipash land, where she's from, where I'm from. I was going to walk 26.2 miles every single day from my mom's house, carrying water that we've collected from all over the world. We carried that water in prayer and solidarity. We carried that water to revitalize the water in Hopi. We carried that water for everyone's prayers. That was the intention of the walk. But I decided to make the walk not only about the water for Hopi, but for the prayers of loved ones that we lost to COVID, for prayers for loved ones who are going through COVID. And we started the journey. November 22nd, we started the journey from my mom's house, carrying the water, praying. I had all my friends come close. I had my closest relatives from Hopi say a prayer and send us off. Throughout the next 8 days, it was beautiful. The first day, just seeing all my friends together join me, people driving by, honking, people dropping off money for us to give to Hopis, people coming and praying with the water. It was so powerful to have all of these people. My brother came. My brother came from California. He walked with us. My girlfriend walked every single way with me the whole way, driving, walking, taking care of me, making sure that I was fed. And all I could think about was my mom. By the fourth day, I get a call. By then I was pretty, my feet were hurting, my legs, I was cramping. My feet were bleeding. And I get a call from my mom. I could hear the breathing machine. I could hear the machine in the background. I could hear the beeps. I could barely make out what my mom was saying. And she said, I want to live. I can't leave this. I still have so much to do. I need to be here. I need to be here to have you finish this walk. Having that call and hearing my mom's words was the most energy, the most power that I could get from her to have me continue with that walk. And so it felt better. I felt happy that I could hear my mom's voice. And in that moment, I knew my mom was going to live. I knew she was going to make it. By the 6th day, my mom gets out of the hospital. And it's sad, but it's also beautiful to stand across the road from her fence and to see my mom waving at us in the window. And then for me to start my walk again with my friends. 26.2 miles walking, thinking, praying, sharing conversation with other Indigenous people, sharing conversations with my girlfriend, Dawn, who also helped us on this journey. And then coming back and seeing my mom waiting for us. I then made the decision by the 6th day to walk from Winslow, Arizona to Hopi. So we drove out. We drove out to Winslow, and it was cold. You know, it was November 24th of last year. It was cold. So Phoenix isn't as cold as northern Arizona, and man, it was so cold. We were bundled up. We were walking. People from Winslow joined us, took some pictures. And as we made that journey, we got some calls that we lost more family members. We lost more people from the village. One person in particular I played softball with all my life was a very respected man, not too much older than me. I got word on journey that he passed away. And so while we're walking, I'm thinking, I'm praying, please, please, please help us. Please, Creator, save my people. Make them strong. Also giving prayers for my mom, for her recovery, everyone around me, that they're safe, that we're going to get through this time. By the 8th day, we made it to Hopi. It was the most beautiful thing because for 6 months, I walked, I prayed, I seen the sunrise. I closed my eyes when the sun would come up and I would feel the rays of the Creator. So powerful. I almost felt guilty that the journey was ending because all of this time I put in the sacrifice to do this for my people. When we got done, we carried that water. We carried that water to one of our natural springs and we deposited and we prayed that our water would be revitalized, that our springs would be revitalized, that we would get support and help for our Hopi people for the water. I left Hopi and I came back home thankful that my mom lived. I know for a fact that the prayers, that the water, that the connection with all the positive energy kept my mom alive. Our teachings, our stories, our strength helped get my mom out of the hospital. She lives today. I just texted her just before. Said, I love you, Mom. I'm going on in 5 minutes. And I'm thankful for her resilience and what she's created in me. So thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Kukwai, Kunda in my Hopi language and Kunda in my Tewa language. Unfortunately, now I've lost over 50 people. 50 people that I know have passed away to COVID. Not only on my reservation, only in my villages, but on my Gila River village. Close friends, relatives. COVID is real. And I wish people could see that. Thank you.
Wow. You are amazing. Thank you, P, for sharing and bringing light to your journey and to see the amazing soul you are and unselfishly do this walk for our people, for your people. It was just an honor to see that and to witness your resiliency. So that bloodline runs through you.
Thank you.
It's just amazing to watch your journey and to witness what you do so unselfishly for our people and our Native and Indigenous communities, So it's heartfelt. And thank you again.
Thank you. And I also wanted to add, those of you guys who are tuning in, I wanted to give a big thank you to Dawn because throughout the journey, she let me use her truck. Her truck was my first aid throughout the journey. So thank you, Dawn. And just wanted to give you a shout out for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. Make sure it was full of food, make sure it had a little water, and make sure, but you're so welcome. And it's just to be a part of a bigger picture for our people, sending comfort and prayers of healing for you and your family, as well as we've all know too well that COVID is real and that to take care of ourselves and to be mindful of our wellness, to take care of ourselves so we can get through these times of hardship when it comes to disease and sicknesses. And it's a big message that we share across the board. I believe that we both share, and with Johanna as well, the movement that we have going on about making sure our wellness is a priority,
Definitely. And I would like to add to that, taking this journey on and walking, I really learned to focus and really shut my mind down because my brain's constantly going.
Mm-hmm.
All you have on that journey is your thoughts. All you have is just time. It almost seems endless when you're just walking. And so that journey helped me become a yoga instructor. It really made a lot of changes to shift my mindset, to shift how I think, to slow down and to really care and look at all of those little minute details in the universe.
Yeah. And I believe because a lot of times we take it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
We take that time and that space for granted. As Native and Indigenous people, we're taught to not do that. We're taught to make sure we're mindful of that time. And I think society these days, we get caught up with it. you know, and our minds are always constantly going. And as helpers, as, you know, helpers of our community, we're always trying to figure out a solution to help, you know, that's just who we are. And so I can understand that. I know when I first started 16 years ago with my journey on yoga, I'll add to that is that I always felt like I could just take my head off and put it away for a minute so I could just focus. But being mindful of our awareness and where our body is and what needs to be healing, you know. And so yoga, I'm so proud of you and all that you're learning with yoga and what it's done for you and your own personal journey, but also sharing that along the way with our other Native and Indigenous brothers and sisters. You know, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah. And lastly, we at the end of the journey, we raised $10,000, and a big shout out because Melanin Stories donated. I believe they donated like $500 last year to the cause, which was amazing. You know, shout out to Melissa and her team for donating that, and just being thankful again to help Hopi and Navajo this year for water filtration systems.
That's going to be super exciting because, I mean, look at where you just started last year, like starting from scratch, and now being able to build it out to where, you know, there's more awareness, people are going to get more involved, people are going to take more action to help, you know, and that's what it's all about, is getting that out there to make sure we help each other.
Definitely.
I'm so excited about that. Thank you, Melissa, for all that you've helped with Melanin Stories Matter and the voice that you give us as Native and Indigenous communities. Look at you two.
I know. I was so blessed because he's like, I'm going to be in Seattle the week of the show. I'm like, then you have to come to the studio smash.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, just being able to give us this platform to share our voice. And, you know, I have to say that as matriarchal, our mothers, I think I just shared this with you earlier today too, Melissa, like to add to what Waylon was talking about as far as like, I pray that I have part of the resiliency that my mom has, and that she carries that bloodline and who we are as Native and Indigenous people. You know, I pray that I can only have that, because I feel like we're so spoiled these days. Like their experiences, their journeys that got them where they're at, it created that inner strength. And for me, I'm like, man, I hope and pray that I can just have a little bit of that, you know. And I'm over here crying about a cold, but yet, and I'm like, can you imagine the hardships they face? And she's like, drink your tea, drink your jig, make sure you're, I'm like, oh yes, I forgot about that.
Well, in your story, you showed your own resilience when you stood up and said, you do not need to save us. I mean, that is a modern day way of you showing that resilience. I mean, you're a very strong woman.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But the stories here and what Melanin Stories has done for us, and look at the impacts you've had, Melanin Stories has had on our Native and Indigenous communities. You know, so a big shout out and thank you for allowing us to have a platform and to share that platform to the world. And that way, you know, we can educate and we can bring awareness to who we are as Native and Indigenous people.
Yay. Well, this is a magical show. So I'm grateful. Trust me. The growth that I have had in working on this platform and this opportunity for my own circle of friends to expand. I mean, friends. Like I look at each one of you and I'm like, you're my friend. You know? Michael, we talk all the time. Dawn,
brothers and sisters, and pretty soon, you know, you're just gonna have to come home and make sure you make bread and don't forget.
We're stuck with each other. But
you to work, Melissa.
Yeah. Well,
Make
this
bread.
has been amazing. We're gonna I think we're gonna start to move to a conclusion, but we want to end properly the show, and then we're going to do a talk back. So any questions that you want to ask the storytellers, put them in the chat, because they're going to sit here and talk and just maybe even comment on each other's stories, because this was powerful energy. This was very powerful energy. I have had goosebumps all day today from this show, and I love my goosebumps. But I would love to welcome Michael Smith back up, because he's going to do the closing prayer. Michael, would you do the honors?
Thank you. Creator, thank you for the sun. Thank you for the moon, stars, and all our ancestors. Thank you for the earth, our mother. Thank you for water, air, land, the animals in water, the animals that run in the ground, that burrow in the ground, all the creatures, all the animals that are in the air, the wind, clouds, rain, sky. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for all these blessings. Thank you for my wife, my boys, my grandchildren, my aunts and uncles, my grandmas and grandpas, and all those that continue to teach us. Thank you for my mom, Rena Smith, my dad, Samuel Smith, Sr. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this life and all those that are on this earth. Five-fingered people. Help them to be at peace. Help them to be at peace with the earth, the animals, water, and the land, and the sky. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for all of thy blessings. We're so grateful for our mom and our dad. So grateful for all of thy teachings and thy blessings. We ask thee that bless all of our listeners. Bless all of the relatives. Bless our storytellers. Help them to continue on their journey for water and for life. To continue this battle and this growth on this earth. Heavenly Father, thank you for my life. Thank you for waking up every day, being a human being. Thank you for this gift, Heavenly Father. Help me to be a good man, good husband, good father, and good to all of my relations. Shona has clean, Shona has clean, Shona Ozona Husky. In beauty may I walk. Thank you. I am Michael Smith. I am Michael Smith in Sheh. I am Michael Smith. Michael Smith in Sheh. I am Jami Hanu, Eagle Clan, from the Pueblo of Acma. Ag Ome. Nash Tachini Bashishi. I am born for Red Running into Water Clan. That's my father's clan. And my Che on my grandpa on my mom's side is Yushrat Hanu, Sun Clan. And my grandpa on my dad's side, my Nali, he is Hachin. And thank you for this opportunity to say the prayer. Thank you, Melissa.
Michael.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew. All right. So that concludes this particular show. And again, thank you to the storytellers and the friendship and to our sponsors too. We had KNKX, we have Brianna from BJG Consulting, Photos by Kay, which is Christina. Our sponsors have really been very helpful and supportive of what we do. And also to the audience members who proceeded to give a little bit more for their tickets so that they could help contribute to the funds for the, not just the storytellers, but for the water filters. And so thank you. I'm going to say your names: Carol Sky, Matthew Spadoni, Mike Ramey. I hope I said that right. Ramey, Wolf Reshef, Allison Tavares, who introduced me to Dawn, Sherry Maera, Kent Whipple, one of my dearest friends and my first storytelling mentor. Love him. Bev Ballier and Dr. Sarah Armstrong, Angela Weston, and Lori Mendelson. Thank you. Thank you so much for that additional support and help. So with that, are we ready for a talk back? Do we have audience questions that are coming out and ready to hear something? Or you guys just want to relax and just talk a second? Oh, we have one.
Do we have a question? I think we do.
Yes. So Matthew Spadoni is asking, beyond these more public showings, how important is storytelling with others in your private life? Beautiful question.
Ladies first.
I believe for us, it's very important because that's where we start as Native and Indigenous people. That's how we start. It's just a story. It's our creation stories from beginning of time. That's how we learn. We learn by stories, by as we grow up. There's not always I was always the kid, the questions and stuff, but I was always told a story, and I was like, well, couldn't I just get an answer? But it's very important in our own personal lives. I remember that as growing up, grandmas and grandpas, there's always a story to be told with every lesson that's to be taught.
Your thoughts?
I think there's a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma in our people, and so how we portray is through humor and laughter. And so we have some of the funniest stories. I mean, I just heard some today, and it's very healing to just tell funny stories. So I think it's all part of us as Indigenous people to share and be funny too.
I think that Native tradition and culture is passed down through storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look, like, say, for instance, Native languages and and when they were actually written. So, like, Navajo wasn't a written language until after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And so before that, all of our stories are passed on through, all of our traditions are passed on. I mean, when you go through a ceremony, they don't give you a book and say, here, study this. They just say, this is what you have to do. This is why you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes a way of life. And so it's your responsibility to pass that on to the next generation. And what are you going to do? Write it down? You know? But I think that when it comes from your voice, you also have this transformation, because it's out there. You know, does a tree make a sound if it falls in the woods and nobody hears it? Yeah, of course it does. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you speak, the deities hear it.
Mm-hmm.
They hear it, and that's why your words are very powerful. They're very powerful. So you should be very careful in what you say to one another, because you don't know how they're going to feel, you know? And it
Mm-hmm.
causes them to make them not want to listen to stories. It could make them not want to go into, you know, the ceremonies, or turn to something else that doesn't bring peace to them. So yes, storytelling is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add something to that, Michael?
Sure.
I was just reading about 2 weeks ago about. It's interesting because you talk about the stories being passed down, and I was reading an article that Navajo code talkers and soldiers in the military could remember things better and more than other soldiers, and so they were trying to figure out why is this, and it's because nothing's ever written. Everything is shared through a story, so it's like it's continued information that we continue to memorize and so forth. So I thought that was fascinating, and it's kind of going to what you're saying.
It's interesting that they bring up the code talkers, because my father's a code talker, a Navajo code talker, and when they created the code in World War II, the language wasn't even written.
Mm-hmm.
They had to create their own, sound, their own characters for the sounds that aren't in the English alphabet. And the other thing too is that those stories of war, they don't pass those on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are things that are better left where the battlefield is.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Welly.
I have a question. Because you have had so much loss, what have you done to try to preserve the stories, right? Because I had a friend who did a story once that said that when an elder dies, a library goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
So to lose those stories because of the COVID loss, what has that done for your people in continuing those stories? Did you that's all I'd have to ask. Are they all lost, or?
I would say that it was, I wouldn't say that they're all lost, because we all grew up with relatives, elders that shared those stories with us. It's like Michael said before, it's our responsibility to share those stories continually, generational down the road. I wouldn't say that they're completely lost, because we still have our ceremonies, we still have our traditions and cultures, and through that we tell the stories. And as we participate, whether there are kids, our grandkids, you know, you always have them available to hear these stories.
Mhm.
And so I wouldn't say it's so much lost. I would say it's kind of threatened because we're not teaching as much of our language as we used to.
Mm.
I think there's like a little bit of vulnerability of threat there. I know for one, I don't speak fluent Apache or Dine, but it's my responsibility to make sure I listen to my elders. I learn from my mother or my because I don't have any of my grandparents left anymore. But it's my responsibility to learn from my aunts, my uncles, my other grandmothers, my mom. You know, Shema, Barbara, she taught James. You know, these are people that we still have to kind of be inquisitive about. You know, and they're always willing to teach. They're always willing to learn. I mean, to help, you know, restore those teachings. So I wouldn't say they're completely lost, but they are, you know, there is a threat with the losses of elders.
Mm.
I don't know what do you guys think, Michael and P?
I, as Indigenous people, we have a responsibility to teach um, seven generations
Mm-hmm.
that what your knowledge is, that it's going to go for 7 generations, and that what you use your life prayer, that's for your generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you teach your grandchildren, you're actually passing that down 3 generations. So if you're blessed to have 5 generations living, then that great great grandma can be teaching the granddaughter, great great granddaughter, or
Mhm.
great great grandson. That's how you pass them on. But what I believe is that, let's say, the songs and the dances and the prayers, uh, the people when Acoma, 600 AD, that's when the scientists date Acoma. Those songs and those prayers, do you think that they would still apply today?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do, in
Mm-hmm.
reference to creation. But in reference to everyday living, those songs, they change with time. Songs, songs like people have a lifetime. And when something like COVID comes up, then you need a new song. You need a new prayer. And so let's look forward to those songs and those prayers that are going to come out from this um, hardship, COVID. And Waylon, man, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful. That moms are so special, that we would give our lives for them. There's like, it's not even a thought. It's just a reaction. It's a reaction, instinct. But it's also this. It's what
Mm-hmm.
we're made of. But when my mom passed away, and my dad, when they went to the next life, um, I I was frustrated because I thought I wasn't ready. But then you're put into those situations that, you know, my mom and dad are gone, so I have to take on that role. My brothers and sisters have to take on those responsibilities and carry on that tradition, as well as the Jami Hanu, the Eagle Clan family. And, you know, the Agme, our traditional leaders, they all have this responsibility. There's no, like, you can't retire from tradition, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a life prep.
Yeah.
I think to answer that question of revitalization and I guess just from traveling and what I've seen in other indigenous communities, uh, since we lost so many loved ones, we've taken a different approach to it. We've been more respectful of COVID. We've been more respectful of our loved ones dying. So indigenous people took more of an approach of, and Michael hit it on, we would die for our mothers, just like our people. We took, we, if I could say it in words, we took the roles of community over my body, my choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's us collectively taking care of each other, not, oh, this is, this isn't real, this isn't, no, we're going to protect because we lost loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go deeper back into our respect and understanding the lives we've lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think to add to that, P, is like respecting the life and death part
Mm-hmm.
as a Native and Indigenous community, because, losing loved ones at such a fast rate, you've got to have respect for that. You've got to have some understanding as to the damage that could be done. And if we don't stand up together for each other, at a time like this, we would all be in pieces. Not just the fact of like the lack of healthcare, the lack of, the issues that that arise from not having access to healthcare, but we have to make sure we stand up together to provide that comfort and that strength to heal together, because it's a whole healing process like we've never experienced before. My mom today was reevaluating the whole year of COVID, and just like that, in a blink of an eye, within 90 days, we lost a whole piece of the pie of our family. Two brothers, a sister, and an uncle, her husband, all at once, just gone. And then she buried her youngest sister and then her oldest sister all in the same year within 12 months. Like, how do you get through that? And a grandmother, her aunt as well. And so I believe, like what they were saying, as far as Michael and P agree collectively, that we have to stand up together. And it's not just about, like you said, P, my body, my choice. It's about the choice of our communities, just like it always has been, just like it always has been across Indian country and in so many tribes. We have to make those choices collectively, and for the betterment and the well-being of our people. And I see a question on there, P, and that was kind of for you. It was like, was it due to like a lot of like the access to affordable healthcare and possibly pre-existing conditions, and that has a lot to do with our well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Again, yes, it does have a lot to do with that, but it wasn't just in Indian country, right? It was across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, across the nation, we suffer with access to affordable healthcare for everyone. You know, I mean, think about that. In our Native and Indigenous communities, we don't have it.
And I think too, a lot of people think, Native people have access. We do, but we only get the bare minimum. We're not getting the best healthcare. We're really
Mm-mm.
not. And I mean, the water, arsenic in the water, they placed us in areas where, they didn't care about those areas, but because there's oil now, there's things that they want to mine, of course, now they're
Now it matters.
yeah.
And which is another powerful statement, P, because we suffer at both ends.
Mhm.
One, we don't have affordable healthcare, because believe me, when they say, oh, it's free healthcare, have you seen what free provides?
Mm.
Because we felt that. We felt that during COVID, right? And then shoot, access is better than the free healthcare we get, and then on top of that, on the other end, we're going to provide your economy with more funds and resources, but yet at what cost? Because it sacrifices us as our native well-being and our people. Whether it's the contaminated waters that we've been fighting with for who knows how long, since the minings have begun. Mm-hmm.
And fracking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's amazing last year how much COVID disrupted Indigenous ways of life, because we're very community oriented.
Mm-hmm.
When you greet each other, you shake each other's hands.
Mm-hmm.
If you're close, you hug, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sit in a circle, facing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really disrupted. I mean, like
Mhm.
even last year, trying to distribute vegetables for harvest to, like, say for instance, Acoma. We couldn't because they were closed. The only community members could come in and out, so I would have to
Right.
go to the gate and give my relatives just, I couldn't fill up the truck. And same with hunting. With
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have access to actually go on to Acoma because I live in Window Rock. And so if I was outside the reservation, I couldn't go on. All of the gates, all of the ranches, they were all closed.
Mm-hmm.
So what I finally did is I finally convinced the governor, the lieutenant governor, we could hike over the fence and hike onto Acoma to hunt, and then once we harvest, to have the enforcement come and help us to come out because all the gates were locked. And so after we harvested, we loaded the elk in the ranger's truck, and then he took it to the res line and then put it in our truck. So it was
Is that called pass
No.
the buck? I'm sorry.
no, pass the bull. But
It's bull trip.
but I'm just saying that it's at every level that life is disrupted in Indigenous communities, and that our own way of life could have helped in spreading, the virus at that time.
The hugging and the hand.
I mean, even
So
now,
are you not
today,
hugging? Is that like, are you doing more?
even now today, when you go someplace and you shake somebody's hand, it's just completely different than it was last year.
Yeah.
It is. It's different.
Yeah.
And shaking hands is very important to Indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Or to me.
it is. I would say that, yeah, it was disrupted, but it also brought the value of making sure we honor our time here that we spend together, that we don't take it for granted. I know that was one of the lessons I learned, is that don't take it for granted that the people that we have here among us are, aren't going to be here forever. We're not going to be here forever, and that was very apparent. That was one of the biggest lessons. But you know what, Michael, like you said, to shed light on we natives, man, we Indigenous people, we figure it out though. You got the back roads going on, you got something, we'll figure it out. We're gonna be brilliant, we're gonna survive, we're gonna figure out how to, go over the mountain, around the fence line, whatever it takes. We do that.
It's like Indigenous people, before fence lines.
Yep.
There's no sense of land ownership.
Right.
Because we don't own the land. We're stewards of the land.
Mm-hmm.
We if we take care of the land's gonna take care of us.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the big messages that, happened. Look at what we're doing to Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask any Native and Indigenous communities, it goes back to our prayers and our spirituality of, look at what we're doing to Mother Earth. And then when we talk about water, you talk about hunting, the water that's affected and that's contaminated, not just for us as drinking water, but what about Mother Earth? What about our crops that are being watered with that water? What about our animals that have to drink that same water? It doesn't just stop with us drinking the water. It's about Mother Earth and the land and the animals and the food sources that we have from it.
Right. And you don't just go out and hunt all the elk.
Right.
Or you don't cut all the grass or cut all the trees.
Well, if you were that good, Michael, I don't know.
A lot of bull calls.
Man, my stomach's not big enough. I need a bigger clan.
Right.
Well, can I just say that listening to both of the prayers from your sister Janice, again, thank you for participating, and Michael's, the prayers are all about appreciation, gratitude. Thank you, earth, sky, water, animals on the land, in the water, in the sky. And it was just beautiful. It's just appreciating what we have. And I'm grateful to have watched that tonight. I try to do that daily myself, but to see that your entire culture is centered with that gratitude, please, everyone out there, take note. These are very strong, beautiful, beautiful people who are. So thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Melissa.
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys again for coming full circle again. We're here again. Seasoned storytellers, is what we could say.
What a year.
It has been, and for our listeners that are non-native, that are non-Indigenous, it's important to really do the work. Erase the ignorance.
Yeah.
Erase the arrogance that you know who we are. Ask. Don't assume. Just because we're all Native and Indigenous doesn't mean we're all the same.
Right.
And that's one of my biggest things, is, learn our culture. If you're truly inspired by these stories and who we are, learn about the different cultures. Learn that we're all different. We're all unique. We all have, our ceremonies, our ways, and just learn that. Educate yourselves. Don't be uneducated and assume that everything is the same across Indian country. That's probably my biggest message for non-natives and non-indigenous people is to just really open your heart, your mind, and the eyes of what you see, and be respectful.
Mhm.
Be respectful of that, because we come into this world as well respecting Mother Earth, respecting Creator, respecting one another, you know. And it's just to be reciprocated, right? What's the golden rule? Treat others how you want to be treated.
Right.
It's a simple.
Yeah. That was beautiful. And I really think that's kind of the essence of Melanin Stories Matter, too. It's that, you know, we walk around with false narratives that are put into our heads quite young.
Mhm.
And it takes bravery to sometimes face that those stories from your own relatives were not true. Our history books were not true. What did you teach me, Dawn? Lies, people, lies. What was it? Lies my history teacher told me.
Yes.
And it's powerful. So,
You know, the other thing too is that when we do these ceremonies and we pray for we say our people, when we pray for our people, it doesn't just include Akome or
Mhm.
Ten
Mhm.
or, you know, any other indigenous tribe. We pray for all human beings on this earth. The five-fingered people,
Mhm.
we are. And, you know, we're all in this together.
Right.
We all, you know, we're all not like no better than the earth. We're no better than the sky. We're no better than the water, the trees. We're all equally important because we all have to live,
Mhm.
not just exist, but live on this earth, not just survive. You know,
Mhm.
all these catastrophes that are coming up, that are happening right now in our lifetime. Well, you know, we want to live, and we want the human people to live, and we want to keep taking care of this earth. But no matter what, the stars, the sun, the moon, the earth, it's going to carry on. And it's up to us whether or not human beings are going to carry on.
Mhm. I agree. Huge responsibilities as human beings that we all take for granted.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
well, you all are amazing. Thank you, everyone. Is there any final words, or shall we go feed you?
We're native, we're indigenous, we have to eat.
Yes.
Preferably sweets.
Preferably sweets, yes. Well, thank
Preferably elk.
Veggies? We'll go with veggies.
yeah, yeah. Well, again, thank you everyone that for the tellers, for the audience, for your sponsorship support, for Clean Water Foundation of Washington, for the Hopi people, and to Mother Earth. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to our sponsors. You guys are amazing. And Melissa, you are an amazing being, an amazing soul. So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to work with you, get to know you, joke with you, have those heart to heart, tear felt jerkers, and then be like, okay, let's do this.
I love our talks.
Sure, we got this. We'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Let's move on. Come on. That's how we are. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brianna, landing the planes.
Yep.
Peace.
Yes.
You guys, safe travels, P, back home to your family. Michael, keep taking care of our people out there. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you. You did a
Good
great
night.
job. All right.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Night.